What's up, y'all? What's going on? So this is a live Q&A. So I'm just waiting for people to come on. Live Q&A. I know it takes a few minutes for people to come on. So setting up a few things. This is for whoever wants to ask a question or anything like that. I know sometimes I don't get around to it. I know I'm not doing a famous song. I'm not doing a famous song this time, but we're here. We are here. Hope everybody's having a good weekend. I hope it's pretty decent at least. I hope it's pretty decent. All right, what's up, y'all? Hope you're having a pretty good weekend. I'm just giving people time to kind of come on right now. That's all. All right, let's go on and get to it. I appreciate anybody who's joining, who just peeping in. I appreciate it. So this is pretty much a live Q&A. All right, I'm not really going to get anything going. I know that sometimes we're like entertained by a song that we know, but I'm not doing that tonight. I'm just opening the floor up for questions pertaining to guitar learning guitar, buying a guitar, recording guitar. You know, anything pertaining to guitar, anything you want to know. And you know, of course, if we can stay on one subject, that would be helpful. You know, first come, first serve. But yeah, pretty much whatever questions I get, that's what I will answer. And I may get the ball rolling by just, you know, somehow breaking the ice or whatever. But yeah, I just got some background music, a little track that I put together. So this track is not, this is by yours truly, basically. Some little elevator music. All right. So that's pretty much what it is. This actually in the key of E. No, it's actually in the key of B. Oops, sorry. All right. So for the sake of just getting the ball rolling and not having any dead space, because I know we have a tendency to click off when ain't nobody talking. So I'm just gonna talk about something, okay? So I'm just kind of picking out of thin air, to be honest with you. One of the things that I love about guitar, I'm gonna just get the ball rolling. One of the things that I love about guitar is that, and this may be true for other instruments, especially like piano, which is another one of my favorite instruments, is that every piece, every part of the guitar actually relies on another part. That's actually a pretty significant thing for me. So you got the tuning pegs, okay, and you have, you know, the bridge. So this string right here and this tension actually relies on that tuning peg and this bridge to actually hold the tension, to actually be able to even be able to do that. And I think that's pretty significant. And I think that one reason that is significant for me is that, you know, we all rely on one another in different ways. So, you know, no man is an island. So in the same way, every single piece on this guitar, one thing is relying on another thing. The neck is connected to the body with these screws, and it's relying on those screws to actually hold it. And everything has to stay in sync, and the player of the guitar has to be the one who basically knows how to take care of it. So, you know, I just think that's pretty significant. The guitar. Is that your profile name? Yo, is that your profile name? The guitar? That's pretty cool. What has been your most effective hand picking? I'm actually turning the music down real quick. All right. And I'm going to answer this question assuming that, you know, some people, maybe they haven't like started doing finger picking yet, and maybe this will actually help. So the question is, what has been my most effective hand picking exercise over the years for me? All right, I'm gonna have to stop this. The most effective for me, I tend to gravitate toward alternate picking personally. And the reason why is because it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me that that's what's up. That's what's up. You say no, nobody knows that you want to play right now, and they probably don't even know that that's your page, right? Because the name of your page is called The Guitar Question Mark. I think that's cool. I think that is like super fly, man, super fly. I think that is awesome. Like I have so many reasons for promoting, so to speak, for everybody to just learn how to play guitar. Uh, I'm gonna deviate for like 30 seconds. You all remember where movies and um, just different movies and things like that. Like everybody's house had a piano in it. I'm talking about like the mid 1900s or like the early 1900s, and it was usually there was one person in the family who would sit at the piano and they would just go in. Well, I feel that way about guitar. I feel like everyone should have a guitar in their home. And that they should at least have a couple of songs that they're just really really good at. You know, so that's an opinion. But at the same time, I feel like the more I convince people, they're like, "Oh wow, you know what? I never thought about it that way." So that's that. All right. So what has been my most effective hand picking exercise over the years? Yeah, like I said, alternate. Yeah, alternate picking. Now, alternate picking is yeah, just up and down strokes. You know, that just makes sense to me because if like I'm gonna play that progression that I was just playing. So like if I'm playing scales, it makes sense that if I play notes down, which I suggest. Let me switch real quick. I suggest for everyone who is learning, if you're learning guitar and you learn how to play scales like strumming down or striking the string going downward. Let me come this way. Right here. And you're doing this right here. And you're playing it down literally one at a time to where I just want to make sure you have everything. There are some scales that pretty much call for you hitting every string down. But guess what? For every string that you're hitting down, you gotta pull up in order to hit it down again. So it makes sense to utilize that upward, that upwardness. It makes sense to do that to me. So why not utilize that motion? I guess you can say. Okay. So whatever direction the pick is going in, you can just utilize. If it's going to the next string, go on and hit it down. Like keep going down. So just utilize the direction that the actual pick is going. Another one. You say you love the piano, but guitar was the one I like the most. This lady said to pluck toward the board for effective sound. Pluck toward the board. I want to know what she means by that. And you must mean like the pick guard. This thing right here, that's the pick guard. That's what I'm thinking you mean by board. You know what I'm saying? And if that is what you mean, I think that she's right. But it depends on what you're playing. Okay. Since the camera is on my hands, I'm going to show you what I mean by that. All right. So here is alternate picking. All right. Alternate picking is when you're going like up and down. You're utilizing the up and down with the same pick. Like you're utilizing the direction of whatever's best for that moment. Sometimes it's down on one string and down on another string, depending on which way you're going. So right here I'm going down again, then I'm going up again. Then when you pick up the speed, you can actually, but to do this all down, it's a little harder to do it that way. So you're basically figuring out what is most comfortable to play in each situation. To me, playing guitar, it's helpful to just figure out what's the best. Like, don't pick the hardest thing to play. Okay, don't do that. All right, Clean Up Woman. Now this is for Bernie Drayton. There's only one Clean Up Woman that I know about, but still, can you say the artist if you don't mind? And Bernie Drayton, I'm doing one question at a time. I'm also taking questions on YouTube, so it's like first come first serve basically is the way that I'm addressing. So right now I'm addressing the first person who asked the question, basically. Got it. And then I got like user and then all these numbers. And then if I had a chance, what guitars would I like to jam with? I'll get to that again. First come, first serve. So yeah, back on YouTube because yeah, we got the questions going on YouTube earlier than TikTok. Okay. And for YouTube, for those of you who didn't know, like I'm on TikTok as well. And on Twitch, actually. All right, make sure I'm not missing any questions. Yes, I think I'm good. Excuse me. Okay. Yeah. Did you for the guitar question marks? I wish I knew what name to say. But I don't know if you saw, excuse me. I don't know if you saw the video that I put up of Golden Time of Day. I did like a tutorial on that as well. Golden Time of Day got me through college. I'll be honest with you. I said that to a few people, but that actually got me through college. That and a couple of other songs, like a couple of other like older songs or whatever. It's like it just met me somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't know what that means, bro. Got it. But yeah, back on the question that you asked. You asked, yo, Carter, am I wearing space pants? Hey, maybe. Maybe I think in an outer space way. Maybe. That is funny. I like the questions you ask, man. Yeah, but back on the picking because that's actually a really really good question. Another picking style that I like to use and that I'm learning to use better. I'm okay with it. I'm okay at it. Is hybrid picking. A hybrid picking is actually it's sort of becoming my new favorite in a way. If I don't want to move around a lot. Um, oh, that's what's up. That's what's up. The guitar. um, you said I say that to get your attention. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, yeah, man. I appreciate it, Carter. Thank you. So hybrid picking. That's like another picking technique, and I'm actually gonna show what that is about. Okay, so hybrid picking is like another style that I really enjoy, and I mean, yeah, it's another picking style that I really enjoy because you can actually pick and then use other fingers that you're not using at that time. So if I want to go, instead of doing this, I can go, I can do that much faster. And I can skip strings. So I can't really do that with a single pick. I can't do it that well doing it that way, but I can do it this way. And especially if I'm doing something like this. If I try to do this, I can do it a little bit, but not as easy as I can do this. So yeah, I don't know if that helps answer that question, but I like alternate picking. Hybrid picking is typically what I do, and I do a little bit of finger picking, which is strictly, I might tuck my pick right here and just play a chord. So that's like just one finger at a time. And that's typically whatever's comfortable for you for that chord progression. A lot of times it changes depending on what chord progression you're actually playing. Hybrid dexterity, yes. At first it feels uncomfortable. At first hybrid, and there are still people who use hybrid picking, and I'm catching up to that understanding, especially banjo players. Banjo players use hybrid picking like nobody's business. It's just like crazy because they got the one pick on their finger, and then they just go for it. So I want to be a good banjo player, but I don't want to play the banjo. I want to play the guitar. You know what I'm saying? So awesome, man. I'm happy that answered it. Now to the next question. Yeah, that picking thing, and I use these different picking styles to actually warm up as well. Okay, so let me go ahead and add to that. Yo, Carter, you're awesome. Thank you. Anybody want to add to the super chat? Feel free. Feel free. Thank you, Carter. I appreciate that. So let me actually add to that explanation, because I want to show you the warm up. All right. The warm up. I'm sure you've seen other guitar players actually show this, but you can do the spider crawl. You can do that. Quote, air quotes, spider crawl. You can do all types of, chromatic walk downs, but just kind of utilizing each fret, just play each fret one after another, utilize all fingers. I guess people say that your thumb is technically not a finger or whatever, but all the other fingers, you just crawl each fret like this, and you actually pluck each one, alternate picking. Okay. Then you just go to the next string. So that's like a good way to warm up. Okay. Now the guitar, to your point, the part that your teacher was talking about as far as like plucking toward the board or the pick guard, if you do this, which is what I think she means, kind of angle your pick up this way. If you do that, you're able to you know what I'm saying? this is where you can do stuff like that, and it's striking like crazy. I ain't picked this up all day. You know, but you can actually warm up. And there's actually a little bit more accuracy, when you play that way. All right. And this is uncomfortable at first too, but when you get it, you have to work this wrist out. Okay, you have to actually work it out to the point of it being kind of uncomfortable, kind of like I don't know if you get in the gym at all, but you know how you got to go until it burns. Well, you got to play it until it burns. Yeah. That's actually really good. But just know that those different angles are useful. So going back here, it's useful to play with the up angle like that. Playing it straight, this helps you to do more alternate picking, stuff like that. And there are some times when you gotta do it this way, where you gotta point it down. So it depends. It depends. And you know, just the more you practice, the more you know how you want to angle the pick. You know, angle it up sometimes, especially when you do, you know, if you want to do more like funk type stuff. You know, you might want to angle it up. Yeah. You know, so yeah, it depends on what you're doing. And yeah, and sometimes you just want to keep it straight. You just want to keep it right there. And do the hybrid picking. Hybrid picking is when you're picking, but you're also using some other finger to actually do it. So you're, you know, getting this action in there. And this time it looks like the guitar player is doing nothing, but they really are, because they're like, you know what I'm saying? This is straight alternate picking. And another thing is you can actually hammer on just hitting it once. So another part of picking is actually what you do with the fingers that you're fretting with. Because when you let it go, you can do that too. That's another part of it. So that's like all the in-between stuff. And the way you do that is you got to pull your finger down. So don't just lift it, pull it down, and it'll pluck that note as well. You know what I'm saying? So, not sure if that helped out, which you did say that it helped out, so I appreciate it. I appreciate that. Glad I can be a little helpful. And I was giving a lesson earlier today, and this particular friend of mine, actually, she brought my course, which I'm like adding to the course right now. But the way I have it set up is, if you buy my course and we're local, you know, every now and then, depending on schedules and things like that, we can meet up in person and do a lesson. That just kind of comes along with the support, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, there are perks with that. But that particular course is no longer available. I'm working on a community situation. So yeah, that's what's happening right now. But yeah, she purchased it, and since she purchased it, you know, I like just, you know, meeting up with people who actually invest in what I offer, if they are local. So keep that in mind when I get this community open. Whoever's local, we gonna meet up. And then if it really grows like I would like for it to grow, my desire is to, let's say if I have, you know, people in Memphis, 5 people in Memphis who actually invested in my course, in my community. And if I'm in town, let's schedule a meetup. You know what I'm saying? Let's meet up. Let's meet up in person. And that's like not an extra thing. That's just you're subscribing to me each month. I mean, the least I can do is if I'm in town, meet up with you. And we can make it a group, effort, meet up, play some guitar, stuff like that, All right, now someone asked about, because I have to do it in order. Oh, from Pink Floyd? I don't know if I know that. Do I like David Gilmour? I like David Gilmour, yeah. I do. Let me see. Someone asked about, I'm going to the beginning and I'm scrolling far. So I do like David Gilmour. I hope that answers your question. I thank y'all for chiming in too. Thank you. All right, I'm trying to find it. My goodness. I'm trying to find it. Let's get it. Let's go. Am I there? Almost. Oh, goodness. Okay. I can give tips, yes, on how to strum up. Cat C, you say you'll sing? That's cool. All right. Yes, I'll come back to that question. Someone asked, can I give tips on strumming up? That's another awesome question. It's like someone could think that that's like not a good question. That is an awesome question. I was talking to, in the lesson that I was giving earlier today, I was talking to her about that. And one way that I'll start that is that very similar to when you're picking. When you're picking, I suggest learning how to pick down first. And every time you pick down, you have to lift your pick in order to pick down again. So it's really about utilizing the fact that you're picking down. You're utilizing the fact that you got to pick it up again, and you're incorporating the up motion into picking up. And I would say that the same thing applies to strumming. And I'll demonstrate to you. And I'm looking for the other question, but it looked like someone deleted it or something like that. If I can't find it, I'll just go to that next one. But maybe that is it. All right, so let's talk about strumming up. Okay. Because that was the next one. The first one, I didn't see it for whatever reason. So I apologize if I skipped somebody. But. All right, so this is for, can I give you tips on strumming up? And I don't see an actual like profile name or something like that. All right, so here we go. So the initial, I guess, advice I would say about strumming up is, well, I'll say the initial advice on strumming altogether, I would say do nothing but strumming down. Like do nothing but strumming down. Okay? It look like my uncle on here. Uncle Tommy, you on here? Um, but anyway, strumming down. I'm just playing a C major. Okay. So if you have a metronome on and you're doing nothing but down strums, and I don't know what BPM that is. Maybe it's like 75 or something like that. Whatever it is. Well, after a while, you're going to get bored with this. But notice every time you strum down and you come back up and strum down again, your hand is coming up. Okay? So one small thing that I would suggest is this. Actually getting, which I thought I had it, but getting a pick, because there are different pick thicknesses. Okay, you got picks that are really thick, and you got some that are stiffer than others. Not necessarily thick, but they're stiff. And you have some that are thin and very flexible. Well, as you're learning how to strum up, it may be helpful to have a thinner pick, because now you can incorporate that strumming up. And at this point, you basically just have to have your hand a little closer, have your pick a little closer to the strings, so that when you come up, you're already doing it. And just have it closer to the strings, and now you can strum up and down, or down and up. Because I could tell somebody to loosen the grip of your pick, and that'll make it more floppy, and that'll make it slide against the strings easier. That works. Another thing that works is flipping your pick, okay, from the pointy side. Here's the pointy side. And you can also flip it to that side. Okay? And that side it's a little rounder, and that helps with picking too. So if I wanted to do this, kind of give you an acoustic vibe. And when I flip it on this side, it makes it more aggressive. It makes it louder. But when I put it on this side, like, you can do it here and here. And it adds to. But I encourage you to put your metronome on. Do not sleep on using your metronome. Don't sleep on that. Use the metronome, okay? Using a metronome is actually a game changer that people who are learning guitar, they actually sleep on that. And some of us don't. We don't want to do the boring things. We don't want to do the boring things in order to get better at guitar. You gotta do the boring stuff. You gotta do the stuff that might make you fall asleep. I actually, believe it or not, sometimes when I practice, I kind of get a little drowsy. So just to let you know that you're not the only one. All right. No problem. I wish I could say your name. I don't know your name. I see your profile image, but I don't see your name. So no problem. No problem. All right, I'm gonna go back and look for some more questions, because every time somebody joins, it'll say that this person joined, but they didn't ask a question. But then, so it would be cool if I could only go to comments, like comments only, like TikTok. Can y'all do like a whoever works for TikTok? If somebody's on my live, can y'all have a button that goes to comments only? Maybe y'all talking about that in some meetings. I'm looking for one. Y'all don't have it, so maybe y'all can add that. That's like my suggestion. So for TikTok professionals and app developers, there should be a button at the bottom of this live that says comments only. And I can look at only comments. Instead of looking at people who join, it's just like scrolling. All right, if I don't get any questions, I'm just gonna talk about something, just let y'all know. Jody, did you say Geo Benson or is that George Benson? That is funny. I think you're saying George Benson. That's what I think you're saying. Now, if you're talking about George Benson, some of you who have kind of been on these lives for maybe, I've been doing it for like a month and a half, maybe almost 2 months now. I've mentioned the impact that George Benson has on me learning guitar. So yeah, he's a huge influence. But it's funny, like I don't play his songs like that. Nowadays, I don't play his songs like that. But when I was like 5 or 6 and I heard Breezin', when I heard that song, when I heard Breezin', that right there, and I've played it before, but I don't, yeah. I have to get better at it. Here's a better way to play it. Yeah, I have to brush up on that though. I have to brush up on that. Oh, wow. This is y'all. It says, seeing me find the melody in my mind and playing it. Hey, well, yeah, I appreciate it. I do a lot of that. Like I can't say I've mastered it, but I think I understand it a little bit. PJ, what's up, man? Okay. PJ said, tell us about moments that really connected the guitar or theory for me. All right, so here's one thing. PJ has probably heard me say this, but I'm not sure if any of the other listeners, if you have actually like heard anybody say this. And Frank Bella, I got some Isley Brothers on my profile page. You can maybe find it, perhaps. So, but I'm taking one at a time right now, though. Anyhow, I learned that there is a separate, and I actually told my student earlier today this. I told her, learn music. Learning music is cool, but learn the instrument. If you learn how to play saxophone, learn saxophone. If you learn how to play piano, learn piano. And then play music on piano. Why do I say this? I say it because when a baby is born, a baby learns how to make sounds before they learn how to speak English or whatever language they speak. They experiment with the crying, the yelling, the prompting for attention, inflections, highs, lows, loud, soft, before they can say a word. They're learning the vocal cords. They're learning what the vocal cord can actually do. They're like, oh, I can do this. Oh, if I cry, I get this type of response, you know, and they learn that before they say any word. And of course, there's sign language. You have other things, but I'm not mad at this. I'm not mad at if a person has a guitar and they don't know anything about music, and they're just like, I like that. I like that stage. Okay. I like that stage of figuring out what each string and what each fret is doing. And don't neglect that stage, because you're actually learning in the same way that, like, what you did with your own voice. And to be honest with you, the same thing that you do when you're singing along with, on the radio. When you're singing along with the radio, you're doing stuff. I'm not saying that you're sounding like the person that you're singing with, but you're doing the same thing with your voice. So this guitar, imagine it being an extension of your body, like a part of your body, a limb. You're learning what it does, separate from music. Like have a space in your mind that, okay, I can learn what this guitar does separate from music. I can make the guitar talk. I can make the guitar, do whatever, you know what I'm saying? So for me, one thing that I used was like melody. I feel like I started off with melody when it came to learning guitar. Okay. And that's what rings out to me. Like for me, George Benson, that melody, that stuck in my mind before all the other stuff, before the chord progressions, before I even heard and then I heard how does it go? There it is. It does that before. It does that before they go to the. Okay, so those two things stuck out the most for me. And to be honest with you, when I first got my guitar when I was 22, okay, that was probably the first thing that I sat down and was like, I got to figure out how to play that. So in the same way that I would sing in my head, da, 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 at this point, I'm like, da, ah, da, 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 bum, bum, ba-dum. And it honestly went from there, because then let me see. Okay, so I had to think about the chord progression. Okay. I think that it is in C sharp. And I think the chord progression goes like this. Oh, so it's like a 1, 6. You know what I'm saying? So then those things. So I later came into the chords and I was like, oh, wow. So now I see how all this stuff makes sense. And then when I saw that scale, I was like, oh, those notes are actually inside of the major scale. It's like right there. Huh. Yep. It's right there. It's like right there in the major scale. He just started from a different place. But yeah, the notes are there. I think, let me see. Yeah, so PJ, that's where it connected. That's like just using a song for example. And I'll be honest, the major scale is everything for me. I use it, I reference it for everything. It doesn't mean that in the end I'm using a major scale, but I start there. I start in that place and then I go minor and other places after that. Because like the second degree, okay, of like within the minor scale, you're still playing the same intervals within the major scale, but if you start from a different place, you can play a minor scale inside of a major scale. You just have to know where it is and know where to stop and stuff like that. So, but you know, I know I share a lot of that, and I'll get into more of that too. Marcus, what's up, man? Okay, I am having a great Saturday. This was awesome. I hung out with my youngest daughter, who's taller than my oldest daughter. It's wild. We just hung out today, man, and we didn't even do a lot, but I just enjoyed hanging with my youngest daughter. She didn't ask for much. We just hung out. I am having a great day. hmm No, you're not off subject because it's Q&A. But yeah, I will do a deep dive. In fact, I might use either Breezing. I might like Breezing is a good like song that is a hit. It's a hit and it's like a four chord progression. Okay, it has that melody in it, and I may just use that as the deep dive. Now I love Affirmation, but Affirmation by George Benson has a lot more movement. It has a lot more going on chord progression wise. Broadway is probably a good one from a standpoint of blues. Even though he's a jazz player, he kind of uses like blues references for that song. So you know, I'll definitely keep that in mind. Carter, guitar and lyrics. I'm actually gonna do something with that as well because I realize there are some songwriters, you know, and I talk a lot about recording as well. So, you know, we gotta get up. We gotta get in that. PJ, it did grow over time. I am such a, and for you guys on TikTok, some of these questions on YouTube is a little more active. That's why I'm pretty much like sticking there, but I have not forgotten. I have not forgotten. I'm gonna call the app developers, man. I'm like, man, y'all gotta have another like button option that lets you look at comments only. Cause then you end up scrolling through everybody who's on. Goodness. And those of you who are on TikTok, if you would like to, you know, you can actually share this live. You know, feel free. You can share it with someone who you know can benefit. You know, if it ain't your flavor, it ain't your flavor, and that's all right. I'm cool with my own flavor. All right, back to PJ Carter. If you want some original music right now, if you want to check it out now, if you go to my homepage on YouTube, you scroll down to the bottom. All of that is original music. It's playing 24/7. Feel free. That's why it's there. All of that is I don't use samples. That's not really my thing. But yeah, PJ, as far as the chord vocabulary, maybe it was I don't know that I want to say half and half, because whatever we expose ourselves to is what we grow from. Sometimes it's hard to just sit down and write. Well, sit down and just read a chord book. It's but I did early on. I did purchase a little handbook. It was a handbook about this big. It had nothing but guitar chords in it. And the thing is, the more I was like sitting down figuring out chords, I saw the repetition. I saw how a lot of it was the same. Then when I started looking at scales, and I think that's where it started to marry. I looked at chords, and I ultimately got tired of practicing shapes. I honestly did. I got tired of practicing shapes, just memorizing shapes. Guitar learners, do not just memorize shapes. That's probably one tip I can give you. Memorize them at first. Like memorize like 4 or 5, or all the shapes within the major key. Memorize those. Okay, memorize those shapes. But after that, try to understand from a scale point of view why that chord is the shape that it is. Same thing on piano. That is more important than memorizing a shape. Who cares about a shape? I guess somebody's like, well, when it comes to a woman, I like a shape. Well, I get it. Who doesn't? Who doesn't? But you want to understand, just as a foundation, that a major chord is, like a 1, 3, and 5. And it don't matter whether you're playing saxophone and you're doing like arpeggios and you're like 1, 3, 5 in the arpeggio, or you're on piano and you're constructing a major chord, that no matter what you're playing. So, and you can actually navigate around the instrument better. So, an example, for those of you who don't know, I'm sure many of you do, but for those of you who don't, with a major scale, well, let me see. I'll just use a G major, okay? And I'll kind of bring my hands in so that you can see this. All right, so here's a G major chord. All right. Now, anyone can actually memorize that shape, okay? And the shape looks like this. It's like this is the root, then is the same shape right here. Then you go here, so the shape just looks the same with every major chord that's played in this way. No matter where you are, all of these are major chords. These are all major chords. All of those are major chords, okay? If you play a major chord from another position, like another string, like A, all of those are major chords. If you play it from the D string, all of those are major chords. All of those are major chords. But what makes them major chords? Well, let's go back to this. Here's the G major. Now, if you know the major scale, then you can, if you know the major scale and you know that the 1, 3, and 5 builds a major chord, then here's your 1. Where's the 3? Well, there's the 3 right there. Okay, where's another 3? There's another 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's the 5. Okay, so this note this note, and this note. If I can find these notes on different places on the guitar, then I'm constructing a major chord. And if I do it referencing this G, it's going to be a major chord no matter what. It don't matter if you spread your fingers and play it, you know, or play it with the shape, you're going to get the same thing. So this is an octave away from this. So these notes, you know, that's a 1 and a 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's the 5. Here's an octave from the 1. And that's why it's the shape. It's not just memorizing the shape. Okay. So that's where I'm coming from. I love Gary Clark. He's a cool guy. He's like a cousin, almost. When I grow my beard, people think we're cousins. Yes, major third, correct. Tyler Collins music, that is correct. Yes, it is a major third. And you know, sometimes it's understood. It's understood if you don't say a minor third or a flatted third. Sometimes it's assumed that it's a major third. So yes, you are correct. All right. Carter, you're funny. All right. I'm scrolling back through, y'all. I'm getting to the questions that came in prior. And I probably won't be on as long today, but I definitely want to get through, you know. Oh, shoot, man. It's been an hour already. I like when time goes by like that. Let me, and Carter, just in case you didn't know, this music that I'm playing, it's more like an acoustic vibe, but I made this. Yeah, this is me right here. So, you know, sometimes I like to make straight acoustic vibes. Like, you know, I'm not strictly R&B. I'm not strictly, now, I love soul, no matter what. I don't care if it's classical. I like for that soul vibe being there. But I like R&B, I like blues, I like rock, I like classical, you know. I like a variety of music. I actually get bored listening to one type of music, personally. All right, just got let me see. All right, Tyler Collins music, 145 or 125. It depends. Let me see. I probably gravitate toward, honestly, I probably gravitate toward 125. And it is because the way I like to play a 2 sometimes, I like to do like a minor flat 5 on the 2. Sometimes I do a 9 chord on the 2. So here is an example. Here's an example. All right. So some of you may notice, some of you may not notice, but when you're playing the 1, I'm in the key of C right now. Okay, when you're playing a C major, well, when you're playing a C major, you have an option to play the C major or play a major 7 or a major 9 or a C6. So either like all of those are options. So, and that actually contributes to the melodic elements of chords. All right. So let's just say I do straight major minor, okay? C major, D minor, which is the 2, G major, which is the 5, and back to 1. Okay, so if someone were to play this as a chord progression, it would sound something like this. What could I actually do with that? Okay, I can like Tyler Collins' music. He says, okay, G dominant. You can do G dominant. You can, but that G dominant can be. You can go there. Okay, you put the 13 in there. You can do that. You can do the flat 13. That, you know what I'm saying? So now in context, the way it sounds is so now different melodic qualities start to come in when you start to extend these chords or you start to alter the chords. You know, some different things start to happen. So all right, let's start to do some different things other than just major minor. So this is the same chord progression. So you got major, minor, major. Okay, now let's make this a major 7. Okay, and let's make this a minor 7. Then we're gonna do that flat 13. Well, let's make, instead of a major 7, let's make it a major 9. Let's make this a 9 chord, a D9. Then let's make this a flat 13. And let's make this a major 9. It sounds different. You know, it makes the melody different too. So that sounds different from it. So let me switch from it. To the 5 you go. You know, you just kind of marry the chords different ways. And that's like a, you know, that's like a different type of, you know, thing to put together right there. Okay. So now let me get it. Yeah. Yep. All that stuff. D minor 9. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let me see. I like that. Because the thing, it moves. So now, so that note kind of stays the same, and then it goes to the, but I'm actually going to make it go like this. It's going to move down, then it's going to go to there. So that chromatic walk down, here it is. Let me come back. All right. Yeah, there's just so many ideas that you can move the chords. You can do a lot of different stuff in that same context. So let me see. Like say for example, this track that I'm playing right now, even though it's an acoustic track, I did a nice little walk down in it. All right. So I'm gonna play this chord progression real quick. So what I did there, I'm in the key of B major, and I'm playing a 4, 3, 6, 2. Then after that, I walk down from the 1 to the 7, which is a minor flat 5. Then I played I did like a flat 7 chord in as far as its root. And I played a B major over A. And then I played A flat, like flat 13. You know what I'm saying? So that was the walk down. So I like that. I like that stuff. Right, let me see. Turn this up a little bit. My little elevated music. And here's the guitar without all that stuff. Alright, let me see. I don't think I have anything right now on TikTok that's popping up. Yeah. All right, so let's go back, because I think PJ had a you might be right, PJ. I mean, to be honest, yeah, I might not drive as much, but yeah, I a lot of stuff that I do is very much informed by quartet music, for sure, because I do a lot of slide-ins like that in combination with George Benson. The thing is, I'm not a jazz player. I'm really not, but just some of the way that he approaches things from a chromatic standpoint, when he does stuff like this, stuff like that, I'm like, that's stuff that but this is quartet. uh, uh, this little slide. What's this one? Oh, whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let me see. You said I just connected some dots. The way I played the 2-5-1. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in some ways, yeah, it depends on how you voice the melody note. And that's the interesting part for me, is using the same melody, right, in two different chord progressions, but you got the same melody. I think that's powerful. I love that. Well, I put the work in, bro. Like, remember this thing that I showed y'all? I would use stuff like this and sit there, man, watching a movie, doing that the whole time, working my pinky. Like one way that I was able to kind of like stay lean or whatever, like I'm talking about like my body. One way I was able to stay lean is like when I was a teenager, whenever a commercial came on, I dropped and did 20 push-ups every single time. I would just drop and do 10, 20 push-ups every single time. Or I bought one of those pull-up bars, right, and put it in the threshold of my bathroom. Every single time I pass it, I do 5 pull-ups. Every single time. It's not like in my world, certain things there's no I don't feel like it with certain things. Okay? Some stuff, yeah, I don't feel like it, whatever. But if I want to get stronger in a certain area, well, I put certain things in place, and then I say to myself, feeling like it is not really an option right now. Okay? If I want this pinky to get stronger, I'm going to just have to sit here and do the whatever. Okay? And I'm going to have to do this one more than the other ones because my pinky is weak. And not only do this, actually practice the actual, application, and then measure my progress, after that. All right. So, I mean, that with me, there's literally, the way I think in certain, which I'm learning how to transfer certain concepts in other areas of my life. Like when it comes to business, entrepreneurship, like I'm learning to adapt that way of thinking to entrepreneurship and stuff like that. Because I have an area that I can pull that from. When it comes to my body, it does not require somebody else. For me, don't nobody got to motivate me. If I got a floor, I'm working out. I don't need no gym. I got a floor. You know what I'm saying? That's how I think. I got a floor. A floor is very significant because there's gravity and you can use your own weight to get fit with a floor. Freak a gym. You can get a floor. We all got that. So, if I did not have this, I would imagine this is a sock. I would just get a sock and just move my pinky up and down on the sock. I don't care. I would get a piece of luggage and just use my pinky to just kind of lift it like my book bag or something. I'm going to make that joint stronger, period. That's in that area. That's how I think. Period. Ain't nothing's gonna stop that. How often do I practice with the looper? Before I get to that, let me go up real quick to make sure that I am in order. Calisthenics. Damon Solomon, listen. Calisthenics, nothing beats it. Period. That has probably given me certain discipline to not be afraid. I actually chase the burn because of calisthenics. So like the burn that happens when I'm practicing, and let's say I'm doing like a certain thing and I'm trying to get faster and it starts to get hard. I'm not stopping just because it hurts. I'm gonna keep going until I literally can't do it no more. But guess what? When I'm doing calisthenics, do I stop just because I hit 10? No. You go to failure. You go to burnout. And you do that on the last set. That's it. I apply that to practice. If I'm getting fatigue, I keep going. I literally keep going until I can't go no more. That's just my philosophy. Now somebody else might be afraid to fall out. You ain't gonna die. You know what I'm saying? But that just means that tomorrow you're gonna get a little better. And you'll find out I didn't die. You'll realize that your body will do what you make it do. All right? That's literally what it is. When we learn that our body does not like our body will actually obey us, and we don't like back down, you know, put your spirit man in the driver's seat of your body. All right. Like when people say, you know, my body is separate from my spirit, well, you kind of saying that backwards. Your spirit is the actual essence of you. Your body is the vehicle that you're riding in. You know what I'm saying? So for PJ, I wanted to address what you said. So that melody that I was like doing with I think I was in C. I was doing this. Then, okay, so. And I think I did this. I think I did that. So if I were to apply that to a 7-3-6, if I did that same thing, so here's a 7. If I were to just use a chord and try to land those notes at the same time, and a 3, let me see. Let me see if I can do it. And a 6. I can do it. So it sounds like this. And I don't like that one. Or I don't know if I could do it on that 3. I don't know if I like that one. I don't know if this note will work with a 3. That's kind of dissonant. But with a 7, I can hit that. I can hit that. That's like a minor 11. You can play that. Then maybe do a flat 5. On the 3, minor flat 5. Or you can do on the 3, you can do an augmented chord. And on the 6, you can do another minor 11 instead of a straight minor chord. So yeah, the 2 does not have to be minor. It doesn't, you know, it can be a dominant 7. It can be a 11 chord. you know, you can do that. You can make the 2 and 11 chord, and you can make the 5 and 11 chord, and it would actually fit in the key. Yeah, I addressed the pinky part. The Marcus, the Benson, the Breezing scale that I did, that melody is not a major scale. The melody itself is not a major scale, but it's inside of the major scale. Okay. Yeah, that pinky is something that we all gotta address, to be honest. How often do I practice with a looper? I don't practice that much. I practice more with a track that may be a loop, which may be a track that I created, similar to this, you know, because I'll just make the loop, and this is a loop for me. Okay, and I'm about to show you a couple examples. So I got the different tracks, you know, right here. Okay. So I just, I did all the tracks, and then that's the way I vibe. And then after I'm done with it, it's time to vibe with it. Whatever. That's how I practice. I make a track, either that or I use effects. I'm very recording, the methods that I use for practice is the stuff that I've shared, but I use recording methods, like recording. So a looper is more performance driven, but in light of using a looper. And my next question after that is for Willie Taylor. Okay. One and the same. I actually put a clip up. I didn't really explain it, but let's say I use delays. So this is similar to using a looper. So if I put some delay effects on, oops. All right, so this, I don't know what BPM it is, but it's, if I match that tempo, this helps with my timing. So I'm not sure if you could actually hear the delay going at the same time, but playing with a delay is a good way to test your rhythm and things like that, because as soon as you get off, it's gonna tell on you. That don't sound good, but if you get on beat, because I didn't change nothing with the delay timing. I didn't change anything. If you play off, but as soon as you get with it, All right. Yeah, man. Yeah, PJ. That's there. You're right. Um, how often do I practice? Okay, okay. I thought that was yeah, yeah. I have a looper function on the pedal. I don't use it a lot. Yeah, I don't use it. I use it to play around every now and then. But I'm more so if I'm practicing, I put a metronome on. I put a track on that is just a repetitive track, and then I just something I can increase or lower the speed. Uh, practicing slow is actually a great way. Now you'll fall asleep, but that's a great way to get better as well, like get more accurate. You know what I'm saying? Somebody had a question. Harry Jerry by Sap. I'll probably check that out. I think I had a question before you though. You say, this is Willie Taylor. How can I get better with my chords? My fingers keep silencing the string under. Oh, got it. Okay. To be honest, this is for Willie Taylor. Number one, you can't avoid the process. That's one part. And I'm not saying that you are trying to do that. But even though, because Marcus, you just mentioned the actual learning process. Like a part of that is making your body do what you tell it to do, and it's like using an iron to kind of iron out kinks, in our muscle memory, and we just have to. The repetition is what's going to make it do what it does. And you got to be willing to practice effectively. Okay, if it's practicing wrong, then you're just establishing bad habits. All right. So I'm gonna make that statement. Which is why I'm here. It's just to kind of point out a couple of little things. Sometimes it's this little small thing that's kind of getting in the way of making you better, to be honest. So, so I'll say that part. The next part that I'll say is this. This is for Willie Taylor still. One thing that could possibly, because I don't know what kind of guitar you're playing. I don't know if it's electric, acoustic. I don't have that information to really answer your question. So this is a very general question. I mean, this is a general answer because I don't know. I don't know what you're playing on. So what I'll say to Willie Taylor is make sure that your guitar is set up in a way that is very comfortable for you to play. Because you might just have a badly set up guitar. To be quite honest with you, sometimes that gets in the way, and people give up because they found a guitar at a pawn shop. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I found this guitar at a pawn shop for $55. But I upgraded it. I made it exactly how I wanted it to be. Okay. So, that is okay. It's electric. Cool. Typically, electric guitars are easier to play. But one thing about electric guitars is that the necks are typically a little more narrow. And I don't know if you have larger fingers. So that might be a factor. I don't have large fingers. I have like medium sized fingers, but I still had to figure out how to understand what's getting in the way. And sometimes it's just these little very miniature, minor, nuanced movements. And you just got to do it over and over and over. Sometimes string height is a factor. Sometimes string gauge is a factor, like how thick or how heavy the string is. Sometimes that's a factor. It does like impede on what you're trying to do. So I don't know if you know the gauge of your strings, if they're like tens or nines or whatever. But yeah, all those things are factors. So the practical steps to actually getting a better setup is wherever the nearest guitar shop, Guitar Center, whatever. Like ask if they set guitars up. Like ask them like how much do you charge to make my strings lower, or to change my strings, or to whatever. And they'll make sure that it's at a comfortable height. Or maybe you can find another guitar that feels good to you, and you can ask them, hey, can you set it up like this? This feels better to me. Can you make it like this? Okay. So that can be a factor. So the initial things that I mentioned is valid. Those things are important. But sometimes a badly playing guitar, that's not the whole thing, but it can contribute. So I hope that helps. So Marcus, you're saying, you were saying that you don't have much interaction with the band anymore, so all my playing is noodling or with establishing songs, and I find it limited by playing ability. Yeah, you got to get around other guitar players, man. That's why I'm here. That's why I call it the Guitar Players Club, because it is my effort. It's literally just my effort. I mean, I just want to virtually get together, hopefully in the future establish some in-person meetups, and just grow and build, and just have a creative outlet, inspire creativity, have a place to center your mind and just be creative and just create, it ain't nothing you taking seriously, or you might take it seriously. I started out just buying a $90 guitar, and now the guitar profits me, and I'm able to take care of my family with it. I knew it was going to go that way, but it was so far off. I'm like, can I really do that? Yeah. Is there a wrong and right? I said practicing wrong. Yes, there is a wrong way to do it. And here's what I mean by that. Let's say you're playing like a E major chord, and you're like tucking your elbow into your side like this, when it may be a little better to do it this way. Like it just may be a little more comfortable. So some people don't experiment with different positions to figure out what's most comfortable for them. They just try to play the chord that they're told to play. Just doing it does not mean that you just got to do it. Figure out the most comfortable way to do it for you. That's what I mean, practicing right or wrong. When I say pursue the discomfort, I don't mean just practice until your fingertips are bloody. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying figure out the most comfortable way, and hopefully you can get with somebody to sit with you, like myself or whoever else that you rock with, and they can tell you whether or not, okay, you can probably just angle your hand just this way, and that might be a little better, and just do that with everything, kind of get little tips, and it makes a big difference. So, because you don't want to practice wrong and build bad habits, and then you mess around and have arthritis or something like that, as well as holding your back straight. Guitar players typically slump over. Like, hold your back straight. That's important. It's things like that. All right. All right, TikTok. I appreciate y'all. I'm about to head out because I think y'all have had enough of me, and that's all good. So I love y'all. Peace. But yeah, I'm still on YouTube. I'm still on YouTube. All right. Cool. So, yeah, with down. So yeah, back to what I was saying to you, Marcus. 5 minutes of scales, 5 minutes. Okay, the 5 minutes of scales, 5 minutes of chords, 5 minutes of metronome. I'm not sure. I'm an intermediate player when it comes to rhythm. Got it. But I'm sure when it comes to scales and changing on the fly. Oh yeah, no problem. So number one, I would say definitely. Well, I know you're asking me because you're saying that you don't know what works for you right now. The 5 minute rule, I think that's a good place to start, but I liken a whole lot of things to like working out in the gym. All right. I liken it a lot to working out at the gym. Here's what I mean by that. If your trainer tells you to do 4 sets of 10 push-ups, but you find that doing 4 sets of 10 push-ups are easy for you, you're not going to get results. You can do them, and your trainer will likely notice that you can do them pretty easily. But if you find that you can do more, then do more. If you have more in you to do, then do that. So 5 minutes for each thing is a good, measuring basis to, just see where you start at. Do the 5 minute thing and see if that works, and do that for like 3 days and just see if you make any progress. If you do not make any progress, then you may want to think about either increasing the time, increasing the speed, but keeping the time the same. Like increase something, okay? So instead of like 5 minutes of scales, I'll be honest with you, like you can do that, but after you do that, like practice with a real song that you play well. Find the song that you play the best. All right, and practice playing that song from start to finish. That will probably be more rewarding. And then go back to the 5 minute of scales, chords, and a metronome. But applying that to an actual song is what matters most. And playing with the song is what's gonna help to measure where the progress is. Okay, so that 5 minute rule, that's cool. Like do it and don't neglect it, but make sure that you strongly commit to that 5 minutes. Play the 5 minutes all the way through. Don't cheat it. I'll be honest with you. I've only had like maybe 2 guitar teachers, people who didn't even know that they were teaching me. And one thing that one of the guys told me, he actually played with George Clinton, one of the guys who, like, we were in the studio, and this is I had just bought my guitar, and he I was playing the scale, and I was doing a bunch of hammer-ons. I was like, well, let me do this. I was doing a bunch of these. I was like hammering on which it's not bad, but he was like, hey, why are you cheating them notes? I was like, I'm cheating them? He was like, pluck every single note. And from then on, I made it a priority, even though I did the hammer-ons, I did those. And there are times that, it works, but he was like, play every single note, meaning pluck, use your pick, and play every single note. Don't cheat them. So that little piece really stuck with me, and that was when I challenged myself to do just that. Play all my notes. Now, again, there are times where I'm hammering on. So, now, practical application. Practical application. Here is, let me see. All right. Okay, boom, here we go. All right. So here's a metronome, right? And I'll just use it. Let's say you're practicing a major scale and when I say commit to it, commit to it. And if you get off, start over. The 5 minute, that's why I say the 5 minute thing. And this is what I mean by practicing bad versus good. When I used to play basketball quite a bit, and it was a rule for me. This was a personal rule. These were little small things that I think helped me to get over the hump of certain things. That probably didn't make no sense, but so whenever I was ready to go indoors, I made it a rule that I have to hit 5 jump shots or like 5 free throws before I go inside, and they have to be 5 in a row. You know what I'm saying? It's not just 5 jump shots. They have to be 5 in a row. So I'm gonna do these jump shots. And if I get to 3 and I miss one, I got to start over. That's just, because I noticed that 5 jump shots before I go in was not enough. That it wasn't making the needle move. What made the needle move was to stay out there until I hit 5 in a row. So that's different than just hitting 5 jump shots. So when it comes to a metronome and you're playing the C major scale, and let's just say this is how you're doing it. If you notice yourself kind of fumbling, well, you might want to slow it down. So, that's like make it realistic. But let's just say your goal is to play that C major scale 10 times in a row without missing a note. And if you mess up, you got to start over. You know what I'm saying? Again, make it realistic. It might be a lot for you to hit 3 or 5. Well, make that the mark. And once you get good at that, then increase it from there. So I don't know if that like answers your question. This is why, the way I was answering, it can be somewhat subjective, so I can't tell everybody to practice for 5 minutes or chorus for 5 minutes, chorus for this, or chorus for that, for that length of time. You have to really know what you're good at and be honest with yourself. But I do think that is a good basis. So do that, see if it moves the needle. If it does not, still use the 5 minute rule. But with the metronome, you might want to increase the speed. If it's 5 minutes of chords and you increase the speed, well, it's like, well, now the 5 minutes feel different than a slower speed. So, I mean, and you can apply that to the scales, the chords, and all that, like apply the metronome rule with the scales and the chords. So, and move up like consistency, yes. And along with consistency, you have to know why you're being consistent. Because sometimes consistency by itself, it's not enough. You got to know why you're doing it. Because the why is what fuels the consistency. Then you want to be consistent. Because there's nothing worse than making a promise to yourself and breaking that promise. You don't want to do that. You don't want to set yourself up for failure. Make a promise that you know you're going to keep and that you want to keep. And then you're confident as a result. Because when you break a promise to yourself, you can start beating yourself up. You don't want to do that. You don't want to set yourself up that way. Yeah. Nice. But cool, y'all, man. I appreciate y'all. I know I don't know y'all, but I love you still. God loves you. Please know that. And I'm definitely going, be here on Tuesday. I'm going to think about that George Benson situation. I'm going to just think about the best way to approach it. But I got to get ready for the morning. Got to be up real early. And yeah, push the envelope. That's real. That's real. Anybody else on? I see more people on. I see y'all done got off now. Well, on, off, whatever. But if anybody else has a question, chime in now. Because if all hearts and minds are clear, I'm definitely heading out. You are not imposing if you ask a question, because I'm asking you to ask a question. I see that, 4 additional people are on in addition to me. But if it ain't nothing else, then, I'll see y'all on Tuesday. Let me play the music. All right. I really appreciate it. And I'll be getting with y'all. So have a good, rest of the Saturday night. It's 30 more minutes of Saturday. So hope y'all enjoy it and have a good Sunday. All right. Love y'all, man.